Hello, Vanakkam, and welcome to Sudarshan's podcast. I'm Sudarshan, your host. Today, I have Aditya, who used to head marketing at Everstage. Now he took a small break and looking for the next thing, working on the next thing, I would say. Everstage is one of the company I admire and want to work sometime if things fall in place. Hey, Aditya, welcome to the pod.
Welcome, Sushan. So nice to. I joined almost like the first GTM hire at Everstage, built an entire marketing function, and we grew to Series B, close to 45-50 million in funding. And before that, I used to be at Freshworks, and I was not in marketing before. I was in revenue operations and data analytics kind of roles. I still used to work with marketing teams there, but Everstage was my first time fully transitioning into marketing. So yeah, looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah. So, quick context about Everstage. It's a sales commission software, to put it in a nutshell. And one of the things I really liked about Aditya is he used to be a RevOps person at Freshworks. Then he moved to Everstage and he started marketing his role. That is something not everyone will get that opportunity to do that. Yep. How do you feel, Aditya?
I feel very grateful for that, right? Because I mean, first time transitioning into marketing, and I was super nervous, like anyone going from one function to other function, especially when a function is going to be as flashy as marketing. Luckily, because I was in RevOps, it was very easy for me to understand because we were also selling to RevOps. It's easy to understand, okay, what are their pain points? And I actually used to sit and process sales commissions at Freshworks. So when I was seeing this opportunity was there, it just felt like a natural fit to go experiment and figure out. And the founder was basically my boss at Freshworks. Was also another cherry on the cake. So that led to me joining Everstage, taking that leap of faith. But then I think the very good part about marketing is it changes every 5 years. So the fact that I didn't know marketing was very, very helpful at Everstage. Because if I had known all the tactics of marketing from the previous decade at Freshworks and all, it would have been a disastrous role because the things that work in marketing keeps changing every 5 years. And it's good for people to acknowledge that as well, because for me everything was new. So I was trying to learn marketing, speaking to all my network of Freshworks folks that are across the country in different marketing roles. And then you understand from everyone that whatever worked at Freshworks no other work. Like you don't inbound doesn't work, SEO doesn't work as much as. And that was all basically an amazing thing for me because I didn't know those things well enough. So I had to learn what worked for enterprise SaaS specifically. And that way it was very nice that marketing was also disrupted. So no one could have done a better job than someone who didn't have context and just going from first principles. So that was very helpful for me as part of the transition as well.
Transition plus a fast growth company. How was it? Because it takes its own time to catch up with things, learn things, and also I kind of feel now especially learning new things is a lot easier with AI, but it wouldn't be a thing like 4 5 years back when you joined the other stage. How was it? Like every new channel will be a thing for you. You have to try to go deep there and someone will be reporting to you. And how was it?
So I think a very simple rule we followed at our stage, if you're doing something, you need to speak to someone else in India who have worked in that particular area and have done it before. It need not be anything to do with where we are, but that was the framework we always followed. So when I was trying to, let's say, initially understand performance marketing, SEO and all, we had Steve McCarran from ChargeG. Spent 8 weeks with him on as an advisor, just trying to learn from him about how to approach it. And then when we were trying to do events and webinars, I had Navas, who's a very good friend of mine. We were learning from him as he was also going into his pen floor journey and building it out. So I think we just so many people, right? Like there are a lot of communities and WhatsApp groups and Slack communities that you get to be part of, and you just have to shamelessly reach out to everyone and learn from them. And that's the best way I think even marketing works right now, because Claude and ChatGPT can give you the theory of things. Oh, this is how this great company did it, and then you go and see that great company is Anthropic. So when you have a product like that, you can do those kind of
Yeah.
marketing to get away with it. But when you have a product in a niche audience, the things that work are not going to be something that you're going to easily at least understand just from AI. So that has always been the thing, right? Because even if you understood from AI, right, like who has applied it and has it worked is very different from what the AI thinks will work, because you're not going to have so many tries in marketing, right? Like you're going to have to get it right. At least a lot of things had to be right at first time as a startup, because it's almost like if you don't get it right, then the experimentation curve might be too much. And then once you get to Series A, then you get to do a lot more experimental stuff where you're like, oh, I don't want to really care about what others do. I have a very opinionated approach towards this campaign. I'm going to go and try it out. That's possible once you have some buffer or backup, but till that point, you just have to go with the community, speak to people, and try to reduce as much mistakes as possible. That's why the Indian SaaS community is almost like everyone is very, very open. They're all very happy to get on a call, a chat, and for the last 3 years, I've also done my own fair share of things. Like whenever anyone asks, we used to get on a Google Meet chat randomly with 7 people discussing about, hey, how did you do analyst relations? To understand, hey, how are people using AI? So I think that kind of learning is what is very required in something like marketing.
Is there any WhatsApp group I can join in?
Yeah, there are a few. I'll
Okay,
let you to them because some of them are
sure.
private, so I don't want to share it here. You can ping me
Yeah,
on LinkedIn and I'll add anyone who's listening to this podcast.
sure, Adit. Yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, interesting. And thanks for doing this because whatever learnings I get it here, I kind of, do what you're saying, right? I usually get on a call with someone who been there, done that at least once in a month, see what they have done or what their peers doing in different companies. Just try to learn from them and try to apply it here. Yep, that works, and a lot of very good newsletters there that put out amazing case studies of different companies, how they approach any particular channel or any particular campaign. That helped a lot. Yep, cool. So, like, I think whoever listening to the previous episodes might know that I used to send out a questionnaire to all my guests, the recent guests, and just try to understand what they really want to talk. And one of the things Aditya told me is brands over numbers, even though he's a demand gen person. But brand is something, so far, whatever I've seen, software is a utility end of the day. Right? Very few companies really stood out, right? Linear for design. When you really talk to an engineering leader or product leader who is design first, they'll pick linear. They won't go for Jira, right? Maybe there are few such companies there.
I can name a few, right?
Yeah, please.
Gong that goes for sales tech,
Hmm.
very expensive compared to other products out there. There are cheaper alternatives, but Gong just works. They built an amazing brand. Yuri just there's this book called Courageous Marketing. They just did such an amazing job and were first to market and were able to build such a nice brand that sales leaders don't think twice about Gong. And they hit recently 500 million ARR as well. If you pick marketing, I think probably half a decade before it was 6 cents and demand based, all those companies really built a good brand that allowed people to learn about ABM and where the de facto tools that people go to. And I think brand really, really matters because it fundamentally, with AI, like you said, everyone's going to be able to build. Needs to be a reason to buy your product, and that reason is what brand gives you. Brand gives you the lifeline for your company and tells you what's the story here that I want to subscribe to, which is irrational, which could be very expensive like Gong, and you'll be like, oh, there are better alternatives, but still I want to get the best product out there for my team. But that irrationality is gonna more and more be very critical in software, and that's where brand plays in the lead. I know you chatting and you were going to ask me a question, but I just jumped
No,
in.
no, fine, fine. Go ahead, right? Like you said, when you said gong, I was like, okay, clay is one such example. They termed, came with the role
GTA.
GTM engineer, and Href Semrush is my go-to content for SEO mostly. But yeah, who else did that? I just want to talk. Ramp is something, I really like their funny content, right? They brought in the office guy. Who else do you think who's really acing in brand side of things?
So if you think about most categories, the winner will all be brand driven. Like winner will all have amazing brand because at some point that's basically non-negotiable for you as a company. And all big companies that hit a certain velocity or scale will have brand as a very critical portion of it. But it also comes from a place of like Clay and Gong. They were not for them, brand was not an afterthought. For them, brand was the thing that really accelerated the growth because they were mostly also creating the category as the
Yeah.
market was developing.
Wong was the first, vendor in the category or what?
Yeah, because
Okay.
think about it, Gong is like, I don't want to be controversial, but it is surveillance, right? Like you're basically
Yeah, yeah.
monitoring all your sales steps. So back when it started, it had huge backlash because people were like, sales reps, how will they feel?
Yeah.
Customers and prospects, how will they feel on a call being recorded?
Yeah.
And then they had to do so much evangelism to convince them that this is the best way to do. Yeah, like you have to do sales coaching. You have to listen to the actual digital call to understand what has happened over there. And that was the reason why there were just today. It's obvious that like everyone has a call recording bot joining. 10 years before, that was not obvious. Like it was an invasion of privacy. Like, why am I, recording my call and giving it to my manager? Because I'm pretty sure there is not going to be something good that's going to come out of it. Like someone records my sales call, I'm only going to get feedback on what I could have done right. Whenever things go wrong, like I'm going to be under scrutiny. But then people eventually saw the value even for themselves to know, hey, did I do this call right? Like with AI right now, people are having regular call reviews where they're like, hey, what could I have done better? Like, did I misspoke somewhere? I misspeak somewhere, or did I basically immediately given to their demands without trying to push back. And those are all those minor feedback loops that can make you a better and better salesperson on a call, or even just a better leader communicating with your people, right? Like anyone who wants to get better at communication can just record their call and pass it to AI. But this was all not very obvious back then. And that's the same thing with Clay, right? Clay has been like around for 7 years. Waterfall enrichment was something they introduced like 4 or 5 years ago. All of a sudden, like, it's like, hey, why just go to one data source when you can have all those data sources plugged in and you can build better workflows? It was not obvious back then why that was going to be more valuable because I was already paying for Zoom Info or I was already paying for Dun and Bradstreet or something like that. Why should I go buy a new tool that's going to aggregate all of this for me? But with AI, that seemed to be like 10x more valuable because now data allows you to do so many things downstream.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. So, what are the things that who are the Indian SaaS companies you think that does brand really well?
Okay. So again, like my personal understanding of those companies, right? Like, so I'm gonna start. The first company that did the brand really well is ChargeV. I think they built a fantastic brand out there in general because when they came into the market, subscription was also just picking up, and they were able to really ride that wave and be that a very refreshing brand out there. So I'd say ChargeV is one company that I really enjoy their brand content. And the obvious Chennai example is Rocket Lane. I think Sri and the team did such a fantastic job with brand like it's a marketer's dream. Like year one and year two, I think they launched the conference. It's fourth year now. So it's just so insane for you to think that a company was able to see that far ahead and able to commit and execute a conference from year two. And because a conference where all your prospects and customers in the industry thought leaders come together and 500 plus people are coming this year, it's such an amazing thing for a company to be able to bet on it and build it because that's just going to keep compounding as long as the company exists, right? Because there's no fear of you whether you can pull off a conference or not. Now it's more like how big is it going to be. This is always a good position in there is a proven playbook for things. I would say Rocket Lane is another company where I really look up to their brand and the design, especially. But let's take a company like tougher space, right? Like where they couldn't have built a great brand, and then they ended up building still build a great brand around it, right? Like if you think of vertical SaaS in general,
Okay.
it's very hard for a lot of company to go build a great brand out there. Ice Labs did a very good job. Uh,
Okay.
I'm targeting the the very niche market that's going to be almost like people with multiple properties managing their rent, etc. And their brand is very good in their space. Like I was just trying to research their marketing. Like you wouldn't be aware of such a thing because it's not relevant for tech companies like how Chartbee is or Rocket is. So that's one example I would say because in vertical it's going to be even more harder to build a great brand. So that's something they have done a good job in general.
Going vertical makes brand building a little more easier, if I'm not wrong, or you think the otherwise?
Absolutely harder because you have to
Okay.
start with the fact that they're not online. They're not on Twitter. If you're running a hotel, you're not getting on those platforms. That's not where you go today to find your information. So that makes it 10x harder. Like
Got it.
non-technical people, they're not online. That's a challenge. And by the way, like Everstage also did a fantastic job. We won't stop here and talk about it, but still, I'll just slip in a few things, right? Like one of the things that we did in Bland was we invested in a community early on. We invested a lot into thought leadership content and newsletters, etc. And we also did almost close, like, we just did our 100th event this year, a couple of months back. So basically, we just doubled down on events as a way to meet people and build a physical community. And now all of this, like, also has compounded a lot for us. Like, we invested executive social 2 years back when everyone was just thinking about it. We put a system to it and ensure all our executive leaders are out there on social. So these are some long-term bets that we took as well. That was like very, very, like, would say differentiates us in the market and also makes your competitors a little, like, why they're doing too much. So that's always nice to.
Are they still doing it? Everstage, executive folks, are they still writing in LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I might not be following them
So
recently.
their
Okay.
audience is mainly sales leaders, customer success leaders, and RevOps leaders.
Right.
These are all like US based folks. So unless you're connected to Mike or Kelly, you're not gonna, like, being able to see their content out there.
I used to see Shiva's content, listeners' content. Shiva is one of the co-founders of Everstage. Yeah. Right. So, yep, interesting. Right. What are the other things a company should do to build a better brand, right? Of course, definitely it starts from that narrative and the way you want to position yourself. Then you do things like events. I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, it is a brand channel, it's a demand channel only, but that is one more touch point, not a easy thing for any company that is and who is not at series A or series B. Conferences like you mentioned, Rocket Lane, that kind, I mean, Sri used to say at multiple places that we want to look bigger than who we are. That is something they focused a lot, and that Propel was the conference they used to do. I mean, it started online back in 2021 and 2022, and Rap is something they stood out. Yep, great work. I think they did three of them, right? Yeah, for until Series B or Series C, the latest one, Series C.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, 60 mil. Yep.
For brand, right? Like, I wouldn't even say positioning is brand. Like, it's something I'm putting out there.
Hmm.
Positioning is what you think about your product. And it's very important for you to say that to people every time, but most of the times they're not looking for your product. That's the most critical thing you'll have to understand. Brand is independent of your product. Brand is about the story about why are you selling to this persona? Like, why do you have a story to tell to these people? What are you changing in their life? And when the pain point hits, that's when they'll buy. So if the small company that today don't have a problem, your brand should still be able to hit them. Like, a brand is like, completely separate from what your product is. And it needs to be like your persona needs, and the audience needs to be core of your brand, right? Like, but I'll start with brand from a different angle. Brand is, in a lot of ways, brand reduces risk. Like, I don't want to buy a product and basically, this is famous quote, right? Like, nobody gets fired for buying IBM. That's what brand needs to do for you, which is how do I ensure my audience don't feel the risk of buying from my company? And that's such a brand. Like, how do you do that? One is personally, you need to add value to them. Like, if you do a webinar or an event, like, the topic needs to be so important that they're able to join that. Like, one of the best webinars we ever did was something called Road to VP of RevOps.
Okay.
You think about all these revenue operation, sales operation people, all of them want to grow in their career. And getting a VP to tell the story about how they can grow into that role is something that has nothing to do with Everstage as a product,
Got it.
everything to do about Everstage as a brand. Like, we really care about RevOps people automating all of their work so that they can go more and more strategic and get a seat at the table. And for that, you need to understand how people who have been a VP, a successful VP at a big firm, have done it. And that's very important for you to learn. And maybe that inspires you to check out what Everstage does, but that was never the point of those content pieces, right? And secondly, I would say social proof is another important aspect of brand. Like, who does this company associate with? Like, if you're selling to marketers, and then if you don't have top marketing leaders from big companies today associated with your brand, you're not chatting with them, they're not your customer, then basically that's a risk. Hey, who are they? And why should I go trust them? But once you're able to speak to these, like, the leaders in the market are buying your product, you are getting a testimonial from them and putting on your website. You have their logo on your website. That reduces the risk. It's like, okay, I'm not doing something crazy. This is probably an up and coming company that's probably better than what's out there. So let me go check this product out. Now,
Got it.
an event is a extremely good thing to do, but I'll also recommend don't start there. It has a long learning curve that you'll have to figure out, and it'll take a lot of time for you. But something like a webinar, and how do you partner with the community? Like, how do I go to the community where people are there and keep answering their questions just to see your brand out there and just keep adding value without pitching your product? Like, that's a good way to build brand. That's how we got, like, some of our biggest logos early on. But all because we're part of a small Slack community, and that community basically took off like crazy. It went from 300 people to
Mm.
1,000 people during COVID. And we were always there answering any RevOps question not there. And that ended up so many people just recognizing that Everstage, these guys know what they're talking about. And that again reduces the risk of association with Everstage, right? Like that gave us a lot of customers and early traction for us.
Interesting. So one of the things I liked about Everstage is your Substack newsletter called Closing Thoughts, right? Closing Thoughts. And when you say brand, for a in an early stage company, how did you convince your leadership to? I mean, of course, you can do brand and demand together. I wouldn't. You can't. Uh, I mean, if you differentiate, hey, it's a brand marketing efforts and it's a demand marketing. I mean, demand gen efforts automatically. I mean, nobody will give a damn if you're not giving a pipeline, right? So, I mean, but a Substack article takes a good enough time to write. You put all your mind head there. Um, to write one such article. So how do you convince your leadership to put a resource for Substack or any other such things where the pipeline might, I mean, you will get the pipeline little later, a quarter later. How do you convince them in an early stage company?
See, I think for us, we had very good clarity that we're not going to have as much inbound as what we were used to at, like, Freshworks scale or Zoho scale, right? So that meant we had to invest heavily in thought leadership. Like, we had to stand out to the people that we really want to speak to. And long form thought leadership is super, super precious thing. And we were initially trying blogs, white papers, etc. But it was still something that was not recurring. And you don't own the audience. Like when they come, they come. But the distribution was always harder. So for us, it's like, okay, what do we do where we can build an audience that's basically going to look crazy right now, but probably not crazy a few years from now. And we would have been grateful to have done that. And that was a bet that we took with Substack. And today we have so many subscribers, and it's a no-brainer that it's a very precious channel for us. But back then when we started, it was basically a gut call to say, hey, investing in brand is usually a long-term thing, and we want to own our audience. And there were a lot of thoughts around how to own your audience. But for us, it felt like deep research newsletters that you spend a couple of weeks writing is a very good way to basically build trust with the audience, right? Like give them some food for thought. Because in operations, it's all about you having an approach, because everyone's problems are so unique in RevOps, right? The company is going through something very, very unique. But if you go to any ops person and then talk to them about the story of Toyota or about P&G and how Procter and Gamble approach this size at scale. How do they play to win? All of those things resonate with them, because for them, particular journey, all they need is like one inspiration that unlocks the process for them. One inspiration that allows them to basically hope, okay, then I'm going to use this point of view to go convince my leaders around it. And one surprising thing is, like, 1 year into the journey, someone who has read 17 blogs of us during that time, and we actually wrote only 18, and she's opened all of them. And then she basically came one day, signed up for the product. Within 1 week, it was a $78,000 deal. It's basically
Damn.
and that was a story that gives us so much energy, right? Because it's like, hey, everyone was telling this is probably not as important. And for a long time, I was just married to that hill. And like, leaders were like, okay, you do whatever you want to do. If you are so irrational about this, go do this, but still focus on all the other things and then do this on top of it. But then once this came in, like that's when it hit them. Okay, this is something real. And after that, we just doubled down on it and kept on like, anything like, for our community also, we launched a newsletter, like where we talk specifically about different topic for them. So that was the thing that paid off for us. And it's the same thing that has happened with a lot of channels as well, right? Like in marketing, there is always asymmetry world in enterprise marketing. By asymmetry, it's basically a swing deal will basically tell you what to do for the next 2 years.
Mm.
As one such asymmetry that I remember vividly is a very first event we did in March 2023. Uh, ended up giving a 300K deal. So basically double down on events and have done 100 events from March 2023 to now. But all because we got that big deal, which is such a insane thing if you think about it, because for the next 10 events, we closed nothing. We literally got zero deals. So
Okay.
if this has happened on the 11th event, then after 10 events, zero deals, we would have shut down the program. So that one asymmetry basically gave us so much confidence that there is a right way to execute, and we should execute and replicate that deal. And today that contributes to 20% of our pipeline. And shout out to Ajay. He does an amazing job with events at Everstage. But that's something that only happened because of that one reward that we got when we did that in 2023. And that's what makes enterprise marketing a lot more enjoyable, because some of these bets, it just has to work out once for you to get confidence. After that,
Got
you
it.
keep refining the playbook till it actually systemize it, and then it pays off.
Interesting. So one of the things you touched in between is social proof, right? And in the response you gave me, you mentioned you sent a marketer to one of your customers' office and got 200 plus reviews. Damn. How did that happen? So, I mean, is it an anomaly, or people have done that? Companies have done.
Like,
Yeah.
we basically had this one customer in Bangalore, and
Mhm.
they were a tech company, and they were a good customer, and we had to train them because there were just so many people
In
there
Bangalore.
in Bangalore.
Okay.
We basically sent a marketer from Chennai to Bangalore for a training along with the customer success person. And then we printed out a bunch of cards that said like a review, and Cheeto has this guideline. You can pay only up to $25 or $20. So within that limits, we gave the gift card. And then we distributed that in the office. And if you are in the office, someone comes and says, okay, I'm going to give you 2,000 rupees if you spend 5 minutes. Who's not going to, oh, no, I don't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
2,000. So we thought we'll get some 50 reviews. It actually ended up becoming somewhere closer to 300 reviews. And it happened overnight that G2 actually called us and then said, hey, this is something wrong. Like, how are you getting so many reviews? And then we told them the story, and they were like, see, it's basically, you still can do that. You can't say, like, per customer, only one review in G2. They can give as many reviews. But they were just shocked that so many people gave so many reviews in a short period of time. And that was something that basically accelerated our social visibility. A lot more customers and prospects started coming inbound to us, and that's when it hits you, right? Like you can put
Yeah.
as much positioning as you want, and you have to absolutely differentiate your product, and you have to keep doing it all the time. You have to find that one edge that will give you to say, hey, how am I different from the other product that's out there? But all of those things are post they engage with your brand. In order to engage with your brand, they need to feel like engaging with this brand is risk free, and that'll only come from social proof, right? Like someone I know, someone I respect, this great company and a cool logo company is engaging with this brand, so they are legit. Is a very very important piece for us. Like every time we do a conference, we have a target of recording at least one video testimonial there at the conference.
Awesome.
And we book a podcast studio nearby, or sometimes even get a videographer sneak into the conference and get a room for 15 minutes. And someone just stands there and
Nice.
says, we're busy inside, don't disturb us, even though we don't have the room. And then record that video and then make that a case study, right? Because all those things can be used as a sales touch point. They can be used for your marketing ads. And those things are the ones that really, really can compound, because you're going to the US, you're finding someone who's sitting out of there from a big logo, and you don't get an opportunity a lot of time because we're marketing out of
Yeah.
India. For an Indian customer, you can go to the office. If someone is in Atlanta, unless you go to Atlanta, they come to San Francisco for an event. You're not going to be able to go there and do it the way you want. You can send a videographer and record in their office, but that's not going to be first hand. You want to be there, right? So that's another thing that we did that really, really helped us, because we just use those videos everywhere. And those shots, like it's really does a lot of risk reduction in terms of brand for people to engage with us.
Got it. Got it. So, I mean, when we started doing our podcasts for the company I work for, one of the thought I used to have is, okay, at the end of the day, Of course, it's a thought leadership content. I'm bringing in a leader who talks about how did they, I mean, how are they doing good at their work, right? But at the end of the day, I'm just associating myself with someone who works for a bigger brand. That is something I used to look at. This company, very small startup, who is talking to someone from the well-known brand. So you are automatically placing yourself. I mean, you look bigger, right? That is something I want to do.
There is this something in psychology called influence by association,
Hmm.
which is why a lot of people want to take pictures with Rajnikant and then say,
Yeah.
"That's not this my friend."
Now AI made a lot fucking easier.
Yes, because those things matter. People, like, if you're selling a course on, let's say, finances, and then you have a, photo with Warren Buffett, like, people are going to buy a course whether or not that photo was taken for a right purpose or not. And it's probably, not legal, but people do use that in a lot of ways to market their product. And it's because it hijacks our, something in our brain that says, so A equal to B, so I'm going to trust B. But it's not the same, but it works. And there are positive ways to unlock that. That's why every customer you get early on, you need to spend a lot of time hustling and see if you can get a case study. For a long time, like at Everstage, like whenever I used to go, fight with my CEO and CSM and get a case study and realize they literally signed the contract 2 weeks ago. They'll take 6 weeks more to go live. And as part of the customer journey, you can't ask for a case study there. But for me, I used to try because every case study you get, it might unlock that industry for you. Like you get a case study in the financial services industry and it's not a tech firm, then people in financial services will resonate with that case study. So as a marketer, it's your job to hustle and get that case study. And we also invested in podcasts very early on. So we've done close to 200 podcasts at Everstage. And the main reason for that is like you have to go speak to these people, understand their problem, and spotlight them out there. And at least those are 200 brands that are aware of your company.
Hmm.
When they
Yep.
have a problem tomorrow, you might be part of the consideration set, and that's all you can do as marketing. Get into the consideration set. After that, sales has to come and win over the deal for you. But getting into that consideration set is the hardest challenge that you have to solve for, and it has nothing to do with the upside you offer. You can put so much positioning to say, hey, we are very, very different. We have this feature, which capability. It's more about downside protection. Like, are they SOC 2 compliant? Like, do they have enough customers referenceable in our industry? Because if you don't do that due diligence, you're basically going to be laughed out of the evaluation. So that is the reason why you need to invest disproportionately into brand.
Interesting. Brand, social trust, I mean, social proof. Yep. Want to learn a lot from you in those areas. Right. One of the other things you mentioned that 40% of Everstage pipeline comes from ABM. So can we dig a little deep on that? And also one more thing you told me is someone from Freshworks, I don't know whether it is Freshworks, told you that it takes 2 years to set up the channel, and after that only you'll start seeing the results. So what happened? 2 years, long time, good allocation of resources. How did you convince? I'll start with the convince part. What happened the 2 years, and how was the result? And yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's a funny story because you always think you can do better than others. It's a positive way to say, hey, I'm going to compete and do better. So I don't want to name this person. This is a very seasoned guy who came to us and then said, we were like year two into the company and we just raised CSA. And then I said, we're going to do ABM. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then he said, see, focus on a lot of things. Keep ABM as one of the things you work on because it's going to take a couple of years for it to work out. But you're like, no, no, we are a fast growing company. We'll make it work in 6 months. Go all in and figure this out. And then you realize, what that person said because it literally took us 2 years to make it work, right? And getting the initial buy-in was kind of it was because there was only enough things we can do on inbound. And the demand gen team also wanted to expand their area. And second, as a company, we're trying new channels. So, like, it was after Series A. So, that gives you the context of how easy it was to convince to try a new program. But within marketing, it was easy to convince. But within BDR team, they are already generating some pipeline. And then you go and say, I'm going to do this and disrupt your entire thing. You all have to work by my method. This new thing that I've learned, they're going to be like, no, targets, and we have to go meet them. And we're not going to change all of this. Okay, then can you give me half of your team? And then the leader said, I'll give you one person and you do what you do. And then we spent 1 year with that person building with one program. Then trying to, and the first 6 months, we basically said we'll do all programs and give it to BDRs in general. They need not be allocated to ABM, and it failed spectacularly. And then we spent 1 year where we got one dedicated person fully focused on the program, just working on 200, 300 accounts. And they converted 10% of those accounts into pipeline. And that was when, so many, with ABM, you aren't short of ideas. Everyone, if you go read Six Sense or Demand Base, I've read all their, I spent one weekend reading almost like 30 of their blogs and their white papers. And this was pre AI. So I had to actually sit and go through this to say, okay, what are we going to do?
I think still it is needed.
Huh?
Sorry to cut you, but yeah, still you need to sit down and read.
I mean, at least you get a summary to know what you can skip right now.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
true, true.
still back then. So we started there. And then what happened is, that's when you realize there are 20 plays to do, but there is this one person in marketing who's helping out, and there is this one person in BDR. And think of their attention span. If someone asks you to do try those 3 different experiments this month, go all out on all of them, you're gonna be like, you crazy. Give me one thing I can go all out on, and then we can learn. And that's the pain you learn from ABM, which is not every idea or a play that people put out there is going to be relevant for you. You have to go crack for your audience what's going to be relevant. And that was what that leader was trying to tell me. You're going to take 2 years because ABM is different and unique for every company and every persona. And for us, the things that worked after that 1 year led us to invest, let's say, 7 people into ABM the next year. And right now, almost 14 people are in ABM, this year. And we've been able to do a fantastic job with all of this. But still, for now, for us, only 3 channels work. Podcasts works. We get them on a podcast and see if they have a pain point and try to do a good job there. We're able to build that relationship for them to remember us and come back. And second, the thing that works is like direct gifting works. Personalizing a gift and sending to them works. Third
So you
channel,
start with the gift, or what is the first touch point?
it depends. You get started with gift, but gift is also sometimes considered very aggressive invasion of privacy. So you have to be careful. It depends on that person. Do you want to send a gift to that person? Are they easily, is address easily searchable and available online? So all of those things matter. But usually, at least we would say a few touch points before gift will warm them up for you. uh, they may not respond to those touch points, but at least you delivering those touch points can give you a way out to say it's not completely cold. But starting with the gift might be a little too much for them, right? And yeah, after 2 years and spending so much time from a business development side, we only have two
Can you
solid.
just go a little deep on what are the things you tried and that worked, that haven't worked? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So we tried email marketing to all accounts. Didn't work simply because it was just one of those other vendors reaching out. There was no intent right now. You're just cold outbounding. That didn't work. We spent a lot of money in ads, hoping that we can target every contact in every account perfectly with the perfect message. Doesn't work. What if they don't log in? And some amount of personalization is good, but too much, it's gonna be creep them out as well. And we try to we'll take a bunch of accounts and try to personalize messages for all these contacts and send them. Didn't work because whether are you personalized or not, it's delivery that matters. How will you deliver a very personalized message to someone? You're not going to be able to. Emails are not landing, and LinkedIn is a hit or miss. So all those things didn't work. We tried job switch campaigns, something that works in general, but specifically when we did it for ABM, it didn't work. And there are certain industries where we basically had zero outcomes that came out of it because that industry was different and we had to go learn the ropes of that industry. And that ended up all our existing playbooks also didn't work. There are some industries like financial services or security software. They don't want to come on a podcast. For them, it's sensitive information. They don't want to share. What do you do? You have to find a different place for that industry that's not being very generalizable for others. These are some of the things that we did. There are so many other ideas that we have shot down because it is just too expensive to go for someone to go spend time on and distract themselves. So we have to experiment very, very cautiously in very small cohorts. And then if it works, then we can think about scaling. Otherwise, you can't just do whatever you want in ABM.
Right. So 14 folks, how many different programs were there? Radhik?
Close to 10.
Cool. Cool. Right. So all of them reports to one a leader, or how it works?
One media manager handles most of them.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. One of the things, I mean, even we touched in the previous episodes also, that invading the privacy, like Gong you said initially, and also all the intent signals now coming in. I'm like, dude, do I have to go chase this person with 100 other signals? And things are changing, like we spoke a couple of minutes back, associating with the, I mean, bigger person or bigger entity, that automatically, I mean, makes you bigger, right? And you can make images using AI, you can make videos with using AI. Where this is heading, literally, I was having this conversation with one of our product managers today, that I know a lot of fake narratives are coming out, and I'm being part of it. I think every marketer in every corner might be feeling that. Do you think? What do you think about it?
See, I think if you had to think about marketing as a way to, like, very simplified version is creating demand through brand and all other areas and content, and then you're capturing demand. Now with AI, basically you're pushed as a human to almost ignore content consumption. Like if I want to do a research, I just want my AI to do it. I don't want to do my research. I want to read that deep research outcome that is there. If I go on social, they're hijacking my attention with a lot of things that's probably something
Yeah.
not even relevant. They're trying to get some emotional trigger out of me. So I probably won't want to do as much social as before. And all of this would lead to people by default doing as minimal consumption directly as possible. And it's gonna basically take so much effort for you to stand out in the crowd. It's not gonna be easy if everyone can fake content, and that this is exactly what happened with blogs, right? Like blogs as a concept died. Node reach blogs anymore simply because it's like, hey, what's the point? If everyone is using AI to write, and like, one of my friends gave a great example. Someone came and gave him a book saying, "Hey, I use AI to write this book. Why don't you read and give me feedback?" And it was a 300-page book. And the point he was thinking was, "Hey, this person probably spent less time on this book than what is going to take for me to read this book."
Read the book. Yeah.
So think about what that, like, the moment you have that unlock, that basically means unless there is a genuine interaction like this, you're going to assume anything digital that is not, let's say, very
Reliable.
human,
Yeah.
something like, I speak a lot at Everstage as well. Like, it needs to be verifiably human. Like, there is a human that spoke this. I can verify that. And I probably need to have some authenticity to the human itself. Because if you use an AI human, you're going to basically, like, lose that trust. But if you say, hey, I'm speaking with the VP of RevOps from Spotify, you can't fake that
Yeah.
because it's a big brand. If you do fake that, you're going to get a lot of backlash. So that is where marketing is going to. Think about what is verifiably human. This is one of the things that we launched at Everstage recently, which is a little podcast for this niche audience where our CEO drives down to the city they are in, and we get like similar to all these big podcasts. We get a podcast room, and we get both speakers in the same room and shoot it, because what we do right now is something that's basically that can also be replicated with AI.
Adit, I don't want another AI sitting in my place and another Adit AI sitting on the other side and speaking to each other, right? I don't want that. Yeah. Yeah.
That is why, like, they both are in the same frame talking to each other, and that is something again very unique, but it takes a lot of effort to do that, and that's what makes it valuable for listeners as well. They've probably spent more time putting this together, and they created this podcast where both of them are in the same room. Maybe it's worth my effort to go listen to this. But if you send me a PDF white paper you wrote, I'm going to be super skeptical. I'm going to ask AI to summarize and then see if there is any insight. Let me know. If not, don't let me know. So that's how basically content is going to work. So you have to move more towards physical, verifiable content. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stand out in the market.
Coming back, is there any companies in India who really value content like how we spoke now?
Oh, there's one company that everyone knows. They're in the insurance space. Very small brand called
Ditto, right?
Plum.
Pl- okay, Plum. Yeah.
we're pretty
Ditto
good.
also do good job if I'm not wrong. I heard about them, but I haven't read them.
Okay. But at least for me, because I know a few people from there. And also the way they do content, right? Like their content really speaks to you, like doing research around cancer or heart disease and trying how you can avoid it. I think it's just taking things up so much notch because it would have taken them so much effort to get approval on the data just to build that report. And it's actionable for me. And I have so positive association just by reading the content with that brand. And it's again paired with a very good design that really is unique for that space in general. You associate insurance companies with boring, so
Yeah,
compared to that, with an amazing brand like that, and that's what you should do to stand out. And they're able to do that because they understand the Indian market, and that's another challenge that we all have as marketers for US-based SaaS products sitting out of India. You don't understand the US market enough. Today, the number one channel in US is not available in India. It's TikTok Reels. So you have to go to TikTok Shorts and you figure out how to stand out there. But you can't even log in without a VPN. So how are you going to relate to what resonates with them right there in the market? And that's the 5 year journey that I talk about. Like every 5 year, new channels come in and new ways to stand out come in. And if you don't capture that wave, you're left behind. Like that's the hardest part about marketing is it's all irrelevant. You're very good at Facebook marketing. Nice. No one's on Facebook anymore. They all moved to Instagram and YouTube
TikTok.
Reels. How are you going to capture their attention? So
Right.
that again is another thing that brands have to do. Like they need to figure out a way to go where they are and then figure out a way to stand out in that channel, learn about that channel and then stand out in the channel.
Yeah, got it. Interesting. Yep. So, I mean, good chatting with you. So, I have a bunch of fireside questions. I mean, fireside, what is that? Yeah, what do you call that? Rapid fire, Achiro. Okay. Okay, cool. So, yep. So, I got a bunch of rapid fire questions. Yep, we'll start with that, Adi.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what is that one single most overhyped MarTech category at this moment?
I would say personalized ad targeting.
Targeting.
Yeah, I'll serve the right account, the right content. I think it's not as valuable as people think. It's you are much better focusing on great creatives that is generally applicable to most people than trying to personalize for brands.
So, one tool you don't want to remove from your stack.
Very easy. Factors.ai.
Hmm.
I think this is so valuable for you to be able to track all your analytics in a platform that's not Google Analytics and is able to also speak to your HubSpot and give you intent data, everything put together. So I think for us, that has been the best bang for buck investment in marketing. But outside of that, obviously Claude wins. It's not even like people work out of Claude. So I don't even know, like, a world in which people will go back to not being in Claude co-work or code. So that's a tool that's becoming irreplaceable for everyone. By the way, Codex is also amazing.
Yeah, true.
That there is going to be a way where marketers move to Codex soon as well.
So, I mean, I think like how we are given our Google or Outlook accounts, Claude or Codex will be given to you according to however the company want to.
Yeah,
So, who should be the, I mean, first marketing hire in a company? Content, product, growth.
growth always. You need money before you get to think long term. You
Okay,
need a few customers. You need to hustle. And I would say even just get a business development person. Don't overthink it. Get a business development person, give them a few logos, and then get a product marketer or a content marketer to convert those into social proof.
awesome. So, three B2B companies, I mean, go for steal their ideas, campaigns, get inspired from, put it in a nice way.
I would say get inspired from. Uh, so obviously, one company that pushes everyone in the ecosystem is Plum. Like, you see their content and you want to try to put out that higher quality of a content, but sometimes it's not possible for every market. That's one. Second, obviously, the way the entire community angle with Clay has worked and how they focus on brand. But it's very exciting to see how Clay is building their brand with their the honest conversations, them talking about pipeline, ROI. Varun comes on a video and then it's all very nice to see and it's such a honest, genuine content. And that itself is very hard. Like it's again very human as it gets. And honestly, like I'll always go back to Gong because Gong is Gong, and yeah, it's just amazing in terms of brand, and you should always see what they're up to. And
I reached out to Udi, right? Udi or Udi. I don't know how to pro Udi. Udi last year. When last year, I think, yeah, last year, Jan, I guess. That is when he launched the book. But yeah, he refused to come on board. Hopefully, we'll get him sometime. Sure.
don't give up.
Yep, yeah, we'll follow up. Right, Adi. Nice. I mean, very nice chatting with you. I mean, it's a fun chat after a long time. Really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you're doing such a great job getting building this for marketing people to learn. So I hope we do more podcasts and I get to watch the next few ones. And I know you totally on a break of like because it, but take a goal of like once a month. I'd say one podcast we could seek to do. But yeah, I'm fantastic time speaking with you, and yeah, looking forward to knowing more about who your next guest is gonna be.
I'm bringing in Vikram, Charge B, like you said. We're talking to Vikram this Friday.
Okay.
And who else on the pipeline? Talking to Yellow's head of marketing, 9 o'clock today after this.
Perhaps a hard person to go before. Put me somewhere in the middle, not right before his podcast.
Right. Yes, Sadi. Yep. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah. See you, sir.